This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. New Jersey's community colleges, aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 66 years.
Welcome to NJBI's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, if you're overwhelmed and anxious about a personal or business tax issue, fear not. The Prager Metis team of tax controversy professionals will work with you to achieve your best possible outcome. And here to discuss how they work to solve tax disputes is Prager Metis Partner in Charge, Marty Davidoff. Marty, thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
All right, so this is great. Before we get into tax controversy, which is a great name. Let's talk about Prager Metis, the firm.
Well, Prager Metis is a 600-plus person firm, and we have over 20 offices around the world.
Around the world, okay.
Including India and the United Kingdom. Wow. We have a China desk, an Italy desk. Right. We have offices here in the metropolitan area. We have 7 between New York and New Jersey. And it's really, it's a very a full-service firm, and we have a controversy department of over 20 people.
Wow.
That focuses just on controversy.
Right. So let's talk about what is tax controversy.
Tax controversy is basically representing people before the IRS and state tax agencies. It includes examinations and audits, collection matters, and a whole potpourri of items like innocent spouse, penalty abatement, you name it, we take care of it.
And so how does the process usually start? Is it a client or a pending client receives a letter from the IRS, so they come to you, or is it a proactive thing where, hey, I haven't done something right, let me try to fix it?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, sometimes we have people come in with, a 2-foot pile of letters they haven't opened, and they said, maybe I should be doing something about this. Yeah. Often it's somebody goes from being an employee to being in their own business, and they see their first return, they're going to owe money, and they say, I'm not going to file, which is the wrong thing to do, because then you're building up penalties.
Right.
And so, it's a whole potpourri. A lot of them are non-filers. Some of them are getting audits from the IRS, collection notices from the IRS, a lot of collections. So really it's a whole thing. Divorces resulting in innocent spouse desires by one spouse or the other.
Right. What's the innocent spouse thing?
Innocent spouse is where the two spouses file a joint return, so it has to be a joint return, which you make an election to file jointly, and then you're electing to be responsible for each other's items. But then one person gets audited on their Schedule C, on their business, and there's an adjustment. Okay. And the other spouse says, I shouldn't be responsible for that. I knew nothing about it. They hid the money. Sometimes, so there are various standards for that. And if you qualify for the standards, you get that basis. Interestingly, New Jersey doesn't have a law allowing for innocent spouse. It's only a federal rule.
Oh, that's interesting.
But the Division of Taxation, to their credit, they have allowed it when the federals allowed it, and they check a few things. So they've been really good about that.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. And so what happens when you sit down with a client? Is it you come up with a plan? What is the process?
The way it works is they call my office. Somebody triages them. Right. All right. I look at the triage and said, all right, who's going to handle it? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be my partner, Robin? Is it going to be one of the staff members? And we put a crew together. We then do a consultation. And we do exactly that. We spend anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, and we go through everything. At the end of that call, they get an email that lays out a specific plan of action to the extent we're able to from the information we have from the call. Okay. So we send out the plan of action, and then they decide whether or not they want to engage us for the full engagement. But that's how they start. They just call the office, and somebody does an intake.
Yeah, I was going to say that first call could be very emotional for some people, I imagine. Like they just want to get help, right?
I've had people who after that call just say, oh my God, they thought they were going to go to jail. Right. And I explained to them exactly what the rules are. The IRS in particular has a lot of appeal rights. Yeah. And I told them these are the steps we're going to take, and we go literally step by step. Right. And then that's how we follow up getting everything done. My staff works that way.
So Marty, are there What are the things businesses are getting those pinged on, I guess, for lack of a term? What are the calls you're getting?
Well, in New Jersey, I'm getting a lot of calls for sales tax audits.
Okay.
You know, people are either not paying sales tax on
Right.
things that are taxable. They're not paying tax on things they're buying. They're not paying something called a use tax on things they're buying that the vendor should be collecting, but they're not. But then if the vendor is not collecting it, you have to pay it. And if you don't pay it, then the IRS, New Jersey can come and audit it. That's the biggest thing from New Jersey. And the other thing, there's employment tax audits by the IRS.
Right.
There's independent contractor versus employees by the Department of Labor. So there's all kinds of things like that.
And in the case you were mentioning about not collecting sales tax on taxable transactions, things like that, is it a matter of people they weren't aware they were doing something wrong, or they were aware and they were just hoping to get away with it?
Both.
Okay.
I think probably 60-40 hoping to get away with it.
Right.
But a lot of people are just not aware of it. It's particularly younger people. I mean, you take a student mowing a lawn for their neighbor.
Right.
That's subject to sales tax.
Yeah, that's very interesting. One of the things I saw on the Prager Metis website under tax controversy is an option for voluntary disclosure filing. What is that, Marty?
Well, in New Jersey, there are some people who haven't filed returns for many years.
Right.
And in New Jersey, in many cases, you can come forward, and if they have not given you a notice, you can say, look, I will file 3 years worth of returns, and they will say, we'll have no penalties on those 3 years, and we'll forgive you for the years prior. Now, 3 is not always the magic number, sometimes 4, 5, or 6.
Right.
It depends upon the factual situation. But you basically make a proffer anonymously. So we make an anonymous proffer, we go back and forth,
okay.
and then if they say they're accepted into the program,
Right.
you're in the program.
Wow.
And if they go back later and say, well, you got a notice 2 years ago on this,
Right.
then you're out of the program. So you have to make sure that there wasn't a notice involved.
I had no idea that option was available.
And New York also has a very good voluntary disclosure. The feds have a criminal voluntary disclosure,
Really?
but it's not really, it's not really set up like the states.
It sounds like a witness protection program.
Well, it's just for people who are concerned about criminal, it won't help you file without penalties. It's a whole different thing. It's not the amnesty type of thing that New Jersey has with the 3-year voluntary disclosure.
And you mentioned like sometimes the IRS will give you a certain amount of years to pay off the penalty. Is there a maximum amount of years IRS? Is it 10 or is it 20?
Well, the IRS can only collect for 10 years based upon their original assessment, and that can be extended by certain things. Plus, they have the right at the end of close to the end of the 10 years, they may get a judgment which gives them another 20 years. But most of the time, the collection statute expiration date, they call it the CSED, is 10 years for what they have to pay. They have kind of an automatic that if you want to pay in 6 years and can fully pay in 6 years, they'll usually allow you to pay in 6 years. And you can, if it's under $250,000 and you're early in the process, you can do that just by calling them and giving them the facts, and they'll do it. If you wait till later, they're going to make you do financial disclosure.
Okay, very good. From a distant outsider point of view, Marty, I always think about, it always seems to me there's greater complexity in tax law, there's just more filing requirements. It seems to me that's been the case in the last 5 years, but I don't know if I have that right. Is that more accurate?
Well, I think the filing requirements have been the same. I think people are just realizing it. I mean, there are a couple here and there, but the foreign, which is about 10 or 15 years old, filing the federal bank account reports, filing about foreign trusts, those are just, people are just realizing it, but they've been around a while.
Okay.
So if you're investing overseas in a business, a foreign business, you have certain requirements to make disclosures in certain situations. Plus foreign trusts, plus gifts, even if you get an inheritance from abroad, which was not taxable.
Right.
If it's over a certain dollar amount, you have to report it on a Form 3520 to the Internal Revenue Service. If you don't, the penalty is like $25,000. The penalties are tremendous for not doing this stuff.
Wow. Let's talk about, you've probably been asked this a lot, but when we talk about audits or investigations, what are some of the things you could do to prevent one of those things happening?
Well, clean books and records.
Okay.
I mean, all of this simplicity or complexity comes down to clean books and records. You have to have books and records that indicate what your business profit or loss is.
Okay.
And don't mix in, you don't want them auditing your personal expenses. So don't mix in your personal into your business accounts. Keep a separate business account. And, and clearly just don't pay personal expenses out of the business account.
There you go. What about, let's say it's too late, you got a letter, you've been audited. What's the process? What do you recommend from there?
Hire a representative or at least be consulted by one and work with them.
Okay.
Because there's kind of like 5 steps to doing this. The first thing is you call the revenue agent and you say, okay, what's up going on? And this should be by a representative.
Okay, not by the client.
Not by the client. I think, the representative will do a pre-audit. The tax controversy specialist will do a pre-audit. The client should be a no-show at the audit. Because, if the auditor asks me as a representative a question, I can say, okay, I'll go back and check with my client. And then I can make sure make sure the answer is correct. And then, just follow the rules. You've got to, you can't accept unreasonable timelines. Don't let them push you into doing things. Don't volunteer anything that, is not part of a street. Don't volunteer anything that's not asked. They ask a question, answer narrowly, unless it's part of your strategy. And, and never lie. You can't lie. And in the end, just negotiate a reasonable resolution. I won't negotiate a resolution that's not fair to my client.
Right, very good. And, we talk about good representation. A lot of folks have a family CPA, but if you're getting dinged by the IRS for something, you probably don't want to go that route, correct? You want to go to Prager Metis, and they're going to help you with your tax.
You want to go to Prager Metis, you want to go to a tax lawyer, you want to go to somebody who specializes in tax controversy. Let me put it this way.
Okay.
All right? You and I probably have great family physicians, all right, and internists. All right?
Clearly, look at me.
In any event, you're not going to ask them to do heart surgery, all right? He's going to refer you to a cardiologist, and there's no question. But the public has this misperception that every CPA can do stuff with an IRS, and that's not true. All right, it's like saying every attorney can draft a will, and every doctor can do heart surgery. That's not true. So what you want to do is find somebody whose main occupation or his main field is doing tax controversy, because those people will represent you. They'll know the nuances and the details. And that's what you want to do. If there's somebody who comes in for me and needs, I'm a CPA and an attorney, somebody comes in and says, Marty, I want you to help me with a criminal tax matter. I don't know that well. I'm not a specialist. So I'll refer him to the person who's the criminal tax specialist.
So last question, Marty, is kind of a personal professional one. You get a client and you've helped them to get the best possible outcome. What do you get out of that, helping folks who are probably in a pretty dire situation?
Well, we get paid for it, all right? But we feel great when we get a win. We're all high-fiving. We actually share our wins in a weekly meeting. We said, we have lessons learned, and for when we can do better, and we have successes, which and we have a lot. And sometimes we were just in. Somebody had come to me. IRS was denying $100,000 refund for a net operating loss carryback for a business. And they came to us, and we went to appeals and convinced appeals that it was timely filed as an informal claim. And on that basis, we were able to succeed and get that refund back. And that just feels great.
Yeah, good for you. That's great. I'm glad you're there to help businesses and individuals with this. And folks want to learn more, they can go to pragermetis.com, hit the services tab, and then click the tax controversy box. And you get all the information in there, right there. Marty Davidoff, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Glad to be back.
Right after these words.
Calm before the storm? No, thank you. This is Jim's time to shine. And Mike's. And Jennifer's. Helmets? Check. Drones? Check. Checking that thing we just checked? Double check. We ain't got time to chill. We're out here driving this thing. This is when we get to work. To keep you connected. No matter what. Connect before the storm. Change how we weather them. Connecting changes everything. AT&T.
Did you know cleaning and tuning your furnace, burner, boilers, and flues can save you energy and money? Plus, there are rebates for that. Believe it. For more, connect at bizsave.pseg.com, your trusted partner in energy efficiency.
For great networking and educational opportunities, check out njbia.org/events.
Welcome back to NJBI's Mind Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, when it comes to disaster recovery, reestablishing connectivity quickly is key. And AT&T has invested more than $1 billion in equipment and personnel to return communications to troubled areas. Recently, we had the unique opportunity to visit AT&T's disaster recovery warehouse in central New Jersey to talk with Area Manager Michael Muniz and see the lengths they'll go to restore their network for their customers around the nation. Have a look. So Mike, we're here in the Northeast warehouse somewhere in central Jersey for the network, AT&T's network disaster recovery program. Tell us about this place. What happens here?
So this is one of our major warehouses that we keep our really critical assets to help restore the network. So when bad things happen and the network is affected, we have lots of equipment that we can send out and deploy to make sure we can recover that network very quickly.
Right. Well, there's a ton of equipment here, and I know it's not even full because they're out doing things. But let's talk about connectivity. When we have a disaster, if there's something you need to respond to, obviously food, water, shelter are what people are looking for immediately, power. But connectivity, how important is that in this day and age?
So connectivity for us obviously is our lifeblood. It's what we do on a daily basis. But I look at it from a personal level. I was here, my family, I live here, I've been here through Hurricane Sandy.
Right.
And I wanted to keep in touch with my family, my wife, my kids. So while I'm out working, I want to be able to call and make sure that they're okay. I've experienced it in lots of other storms. So some of the storms we've had down south,
Right.
I've been there where people have walked up to us and said, hey, I haven't talked to my sister, my brother, my mom in a couple of days.
Right.
And we're able to connect them and it's very emotional for us too, right?
Yeah.
So we're there experiencing that firsthand for us.
Right. And what about connectivity on the kind of the non-personal side in terms of responding to an emergency? How critical is that?
Yeah, very critical. So I think of the current fires going on even in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right? One of those fires is up sort of where I live.
Yeah.
And those responders, those firemen, they're out there in the middle of nowhere, and they either need to call for help if they get in trouble, they need to call back and report back how it's going, or if they just want to call their family members. We provide that kind of connectivity. We can be anywhere, anytime, standalone, middle of nowhere, middle of forest,
Right.
and we can give them service.
Right. That's amazing. Can I go over some of the equipment that you guys use? Because I think it's fascinating.
Sure.
I'm going to throw, first of all, AT&T has invested more than $1 billion in the network disaster recovery program since 1992. As part of that, there's more than 450 portable market cell sites. What are those?
Yeah, so it's one of our primary assets. So we have what we call SAT Colts,
Right.
so satellite cell and light trucks,
Okay.
or cell and light trailers. That's our primary asset. We have several here. We actually have several that are out deployed right now.
What do they do?
So they are satellite connectivity, but for the user, they provide you an LTE experience.
Okay.
So from either a responder or a person sitting at their home, we set one of these up, and all of a sudden you have bars again on your phone.
Okay, gotcha. That's great. And then there's more than 200 portable satellite solutions.
Yeah, so those SAT Colts are part of those.
Okay.
That gives us a larger breadth of connectivity.
Got it.
Whereas we don't need to bring out big trucks anymore. We now have small portable solutions that are suitcase. We can ship them. We can drive them out in the back of a truck. We have small portable things that we can roll into an office and set those up. So lots of different solutions for lots of different problems.
Right. Okay. Just a couple more, Mike, and then you'll be quizzed on this later. More than 65 technology recovery trailers.
Correct.
What are those?
So you think of AT&T connectivity throughout the network, throughout the country.
Right.
We have lots of internet connectivity. We provide lots of home connectivity. So we need more than just the cell phone satellite connectivity.
Okay.
We need a deeper backbone, what we call backbone connectivity.
Okay.
So think of wires on the poles, wires in the ground.
Got it.
We have all that equipment which helps get that connectivity back should something terrible happen.
Okay. And then more than 40 plus flying cows, which I guess are cell on
Cell
wings.
on wings.
Got
yes.
it. Okay.
Cell on wings. So cows cell on wings.
So are they drones, basically?
Yeah. So it is based off of a drone. It is
Okay.
a tethered drone. which can provide cellular connectivity. You think of a cell tower. So the higher the cell tower, the larger your coverage.
Right.
Well, imagine now you can fly that cell tower even higher, so you get a wider coverage out of this.
Okay.
It's also very portable, right? I don't need to erect a tower. I drive this thing out, which is a
Huge.
couple of suitcases,
Yeah.
launch it up in the air, and boom, I can connect.
Okay, and last one, because I am I know it's not here. 8 amphibious vehicles. What do they do? I've seen the pictures of the video of them. They're very cool to look at.
Yeah, so again, key learnings from past storms.
Mm-hmm.
We go to disasters and we say, boy, we could have used XYZ. Some of these storms we found we need to get through flooded areas, debris strewn areas, across bays, across rivers, across channels.
Very good.
So we believe that we needed these things, we invested in these things, and now we have these. So now we can get land, sea, air, you name it, we can get there.
And isn't it true? One of these times you took a big helicopter down to Puerto Rico or something like that?
Yeah. So for Hurricane Maria affected Puerto Rico, very hard to get things there.
Yeah.
It's an island.
Right.
So we were able to partner with the U.S. military, National Guard, and FEMA, and all the government agencies, and we were actually able to put a lot of our equipment on military planes and fly it down. Me personally, I got to ride on one of these, which was the most awesome thing I've ever done. Being from New Jersey, like really cool. You see stuff flying out of McGuire Air Force Base,
Right.
and you're like, hey man, I got to be on one of those things.
We talk about AT&T's investments, Mike. FirstNet has always been a huge thing for AT&T. Explain to folks what that is and how what you do helps them, helps FirstNet.
So FirstNet is our dedicated network for first responders. So AT&T has its network. This is a dedicated network for those responders. And we have lots of recovery equipment to support those responders. So as we're deploying, as we're sending out our equipment, as we're restoring the network, we're also restoring for those first responders. Right? So as we send out a satellite cell and light truck,
Right.
as we send out some of these low Earth orbit satellite connectivity units, they are providing service for not only our commercial customers, but also our first responders. They're the first line of defense for us. Right? So me being from New Jersey, I want the state police and I want my local police to be able to contact and communicate. So that makes me happy that we're out there doing that stuff for those guys.
Let's talk about this location. I mean, it's in New Jersey. What areas are you serving? For disasters, what areas are you serving?
So out of any warehouse, we can really serve any part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
However, this warehouse is very critical. We are on the I-95 corridor. We have lots of major metropolitan areas here within reach, within hours.
Right.
But we are also a little bit out of the danger areas.
Right. Gotcha.
So we can serve New York City, we can serve Philly, Washington, D.C., Boston, but we are not in those cities, but we can easily access them. Think of all the interstates here. We have I-95, we have the Pennsylvania Turnpike,
Right.
New Jersey Turnpike, 287, all those major highways that we can pretty much get anywhere very, very quickly from here.
So AT&T is also, when we talk about investment, they have 400 plus recovery team members. Who are these folks? Are they just people working behind a desk, and then when there's an emergency, they go to work? Or they do that as well?
Yeah, so we have over 400 support team members around the company. They are AT&T employees who are performing functions within the company, critical functions, other kinds of functions, admin functions, whatever it is. When we place that call out, they drop what they're doing and they come.
Right.
Because we know, AT&T knows that network recovery is critical to our business.
So when you go out, talk about, isn't there this self-supportive aspect to what you're doing? You don't need to rely on other people for you guys to get the job done, correct?
Correct. So one of the things we've learned over the past 30 plus years from deploying for disasters is those communities that we go into, they have issues as it is. We don't need to come in and take those resources.
Gotcha.
So we come in with our own resources so that local responders, local communities don't need to worry about us. We have food trailers. We bring our own power. We bring our own showers. We bring our own bunkhouses. We bring our own workspace. All those things we come in with our own so that we can self-support ourselves and focus on the mission rather than worrying about communities and they can take care of themselves.
Right. We mentioned staff. Are these people who kind of seek to join this mission, or are they looked at upon because they may have that experience already? Let's go see if they're interested. How does it work?
Yeah, so we look for both kinds.
Okay.
We look for employees who have that desire. They just want to help. They want to come and do what we do because they know it's a critical function for the company.
Yeah.
We also seek out those with those extra special skills that we need. So experts in cellular technology, experts in wireline technology, all those things, all those folks come together and help us complete our mission.
And did they gather here as a starting point if there's an emergency? Like, let's say we had a recent hurricane in the southeast, Hurricane Helene. Is there a starting point here, or does people just go there and we'll meet you there?
Yeah, so many times this is our hub, this is our starting point.
Okay.
So the support team members around the company that are in this area, they will come here and we will put them in vehicles and we will have them drive things down or tow things down or come with us so that they can help us and be immediately effective once we get to the area.
So Mike, how busy is this place? I mean, like, what constitutes a disaster? Is it something as major as a hurricane, or could it be just a forest fire? Could it be, I don't know, a huge power outage because somebody knocked down wires? I mean, what constitutes an emergency?
Sure. So when we say network disaster recovery, it's not always disaster in the big sense.
Right.
So we deployed, I think it was last year, down to Wildwood. There was a large power outage that took down a lot of the shore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we deployed for that. Right? Not a
I
huge
remember
disaster.
that. I remember because some restaurants had to close. It was like a weekend.
It was. I think it was a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And we got support from the state police and the local state governments because we know and they know how critical it is to get down there. Because when first responders can't communicate, their services are down, then they want to make sure that the public is safe.
Mm-hmm.
So we deployed immediately for something like that. We've deployed for, say, the forest fire up in West Milford.
Right, big one.
We've done that all the way up to giant hurricanes. Recently Hurricane Helene.
Yeah,
Milford.
tell us about Helene. What's been going on down there since you guys?
Yeah, so Helene and Milton and Francine, kind of three big storms right in a row.
Yep.
We've deployed up and down the East Coast for that. So we've deployed in Florida and Georgia, North Carolina. We still have assets down in North Carolina supporting those communities and those first responders down there.
Right. And last thing, Mike, you're a Jersey guy. You love New Jersey. You love your job. What does it mean to kind of oversee all this and see all this technology, and you're helping people directly and very viscerally?
Yeah, so I love it here. I've been here all my life. I don't want to ever leave. Really hard for me to ever leave.
Right.
Ever leave New Jersey.
Yeah.
I like it here because when I talk to friends and family or other customers, I can proudly say I live here, and the things that I do, the job that I do, directly affects people and first responders in New Jersey. I mean, I love going out and meeting state troopers.
Yeah.
And as we're setting it up, they're coming over. Hey, what's this thing? And I can say, hey, we've got this giant warehouse right in your backyard, and we came right away, right? So I really do love that stuff. I really do. Yeah. Makes me proud to be here.
All right, great job by the folks at AT&T New Jersey, and thanks to Michael Muniz and AT&T New Jersey President Jackie Cater for allowing us to visit AT&T's disaster warehouse in central New Jersey. And thank you for joining us on NJBI's Minding Your Business. We'll see you next time.
Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping the scenes while I was sleeping. And whispered in the sound of silence.
Learn about the benefits of membership at njbia.org.